Welcome back to the John List podcast. If you haven't checked out the previous episodes, I highly recommend that you check it out. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It is a very fascinating case, and I know that I kind of skipped ahead from John in high school and college and pretty much right into what he did on November 9th, 1971, but it's not like every single video has to be in a certain order, right? Yeah, I don't do that on my first channel. Okay. Now, in the previous episode, I talked about how on November 9th, 1971, John murdered 5 members of his family: his wife, Helen, Patricia, John Jr., and Freddie. John also murdered his mother. And here's the thing, there is one detail I forgot to mention in the previous episode. So John claimed that he shot his family in the back of the head so that they wouldn't know. Well, according to autopsies, that's not exactly true. Okay, so apparently when he shot his daughter Patricia, she turned her head slightly and the bullet went through her cheek. So I think she probably knew at the very last second. And let's see, his mother was shot right above her left eye, I think. So she obviously knew. And yeah, John Jr., he was shot 10 times. And he didn't die right away, so obviously he knew. Yeah, to be honest, I kind of regret buying the book John wrote now. But at least there will be details in the book I'll be able to debunk once I read it. So you'll have to bear with me on that. With my vision getting worse, it is going to be difficult for me to read the book. But like I said, there's a lot of stuff that we can talk about in the meantime. And, there's stuff that even I'm learning about this case even to this day. There was a new podcast I checked out that was talking about the John List case. I think they did 9 episodes about it. I learned some stuff about this case that I didn't even know. Yeah, so a lot of stuff to share. Okay. So now that I've pretty much mentioned something that I left out from the previous episode, now we're going to talk about what happened on November 10th, 1971. Okay, so when he woke up the next morning, he was planning his getaway. Now, before I continue, let me remind you that while he spent the last night in their home, Breeze Knoll, he was sleeping in his bedroom with 5 dead bodies in the house. Okay. All right, so he packed up his bloody clothes. He wrote notes to the children's schools, wrote notes to relatives like his mother's sister, his wife's sister, the preacher of the local church that the List family attended. And believe me, the information in that letter, oh my gosh. Yeah. So we'll go over what it said in the letter in the next episode. Okay, so what happened was, after he wrote the letters, he placed them on his desk. He put the guns and ammo from the crime in his desk drawer. But here's something that's really messed up, you guys. And obviously this whole thing is messed up, but there was one letter that John List wrote, and let me see. So he put something in his cabinet in his desk, and he locked it. And so what happened was he put the key in an envelope, mailed it to himself, so the key would be at the post office. And he literally wrote a note on his desk saying, go to the post office to get the envelope that has the key in it to unlock the cabinet. Okay, so let's think about that for a sec, okay? He's more concerned about the officers getting a key to unlock a cabinet in his desk. He's more concerned about that than his family. And just so you know, I know I'm getting ahead of myself again, but if you actually think that the authorities went to the post office to get that letter, hell no. They got a crowbar and they broke into the desk, just so you know. Yeah, so that was stupid. Okay. So after he put everything in place, oh boy. First, he turned the thermostat down to 50 degrees, and there were different reasons. There were different theories of why he did this. One of them was he was hoping that it would keep the bodies from decomposing. And then there was another rumor going around that he did it so that the pipes wouldn't freeze. I'm starting to think that the first one is actually more accurate, because when you are in November weather in New Jersey, I mean, I've never been to New Jersey, so I don't know what it is like there during the winter, but I'm pretty sure it's not warm. And so why would you turn the thermostat down during the winter if you were afraid of the pipes freezing? But yeah, apparently, according to the theory, he was afraid of the pipes bursting and it would cause a lot of damage to the house. Even though the house does have a bunch of bullets in the wall and in the floor, and there's blood all over the floor. Yeah. But he was worried about the pipes. I mean, it's the same thing with the cabinet in his desk. I mean, you know, he's not well. Messed up. Okay. And then he turned on all the lights in the house. And keep in mind, this is a 19-room Victorian mansion. Can you imagine how many lights were in that house? And then, like most mansions, this one had an intercom. And so what happened was he turned the radio to his favorite classical music station. But, you know, John said, you know, I thought that if some intruder was trying to get into the house, you know, they would back off and stuff like that. But here's the thing, it's like, when the authorities discovered the bodies and they could hear the music in the house, they described it as funeral music. I mean, like I said, this case is... It literally sounds like a horror film, but in real life. Yeah. So he said some prayers for his family from the hymn book. He then said, that was the least I could do. He put his stuff in his car. Oh, there's one detail I forgot to mention. He went through every picture in the house and cut his face out of every picture. And he grabbed a few pictures of his family to take with him. Not sure why. Or at least that's what happened in films. I'm not sure if he actually did that in real life. I've seen a couple of different films about the John List case, and I've seen some inconsistencies in both of them. But, you know. Yeah, so then after that, he packed up his car and then he drove off. He drove to the airport, left his car there, but he tried to throw the authorities off because the fact is he actually didn't take a plane. He took a train, and that's how he fled. He wanted the authorities to think that maybe he fled the country. All right, so as a closing, let's check out what John List had to say. All right. And just so you know, it's heartbreaking, obviously.
I felt that if some intruder wanted to get into the house, that they might back off if they've heard music and thought that people were in the house. That was another reason I left all the lights on, I believe, to make it look like there were people there.
And now he's going to explain why he wrote the letter to his pastor.
Because I just felt closest to him and felt that since I was a member of his congregation, that he deserved a more complete explanation.
About a month later is when the authorities find the letters and the bodies. People had suspicions. Yeah. All right. So, let me know what you think about this in the comments, and I will see you in the next episode.